Hello everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and if I seem a little bit wonky during this review, please forgive me. It's just I just got home from work a little while ago, and I'm a little bit tired. But anyway, got the weekend off, so happy about that. But anyway, let's get going on this. Today, this is a random week, and I'm back with another Jess Franco film. This one from the Redemption line, and this one is from 1972. And we have Daughter of Dracula. Sorry, it's like, yeah, I know. It's like I got the disc still in the player, but yeah, we have this movie starring Britt Nichols, Anne Liebert, Alberto Dalbes, Howard Vernon, and Jess Franco actually himself makes an appearance in the movie. The story here is it's a pretty simple story, pretty easy to follow. In this story, you have the Karlstein family, which is actually that's kind of interesting though, because even though it's Dracula and stuff, the character's last name, the main characters, their last name is Karlstein, which is actually a throwback to Karnstein, which is the name of the character in the novella Carmilla, which Hammer had adapted into. They used that story in like three movies: Vampire Lovers, Lust for a Vampire, and Twins of Evil. But so it's kind of interesting. So you got Jess Franco. He's making a Dracula movie, but at the same time too, he's kind of, reaching out and tapping into the Carmilla kind of storyline. And but anyway, so uh, in the Karlstein family, uh, you have Karina, who is played by Anne Liebert, and Jess Franco's character Jefferson, Cyril Jefferson. They're you know they're dealing with this lady who's she's kind of the matriarch of the Karlstein family. She's about to pass away, and she's waiting for her daughter, um, Louisa, who is played by Britt Nichols, to show up, and she does, and she tells the mother, she tells Louisa that I need to speak with her in private, and so everybody leaves, and it is revealed to Louisa that basically she's part of the Dracula slash Karlstein family, and she has their blood in her veins. And then the mother passes, and so you have Louisa. She's out kind of just walking around. Turns out there's like a family crypt, and she goes in and she looks, and she finds the coffin of Dracula, and it's very underwhelming because the thing is you do have the character of Dracula in this movie, but the only thing he ever manages to do is just he just keeps throwing the lid off of his coffin, and he just sits up and goes. That's pretty much the extent. That's about all. Well, no, okay, take that back. There is a part where, as the daughter of Dracula, Louisa, she does, take a victim and strip her down and then put her into the coffin with Dracula and then puts the lid on the coffin. And it's like, Dracula, I guess he's supposed to be biting her neck, but he looks more like he's just kind of like that. But anyway, so then it turns out that yes, Louisa is now the daughter of Dracula, and she's a vampire, and she's going out, and there is a little bit of giallo mixed into this because now you also have a killer who is usually wearing like a black hat and their face is covered in the long back black coat, like what you would see a killer wear in a lot of giallo films. So there is quite a bit of that as well, and is in this whole movie is such a big mishmash. Um, and so it's up to Cyril Jefferson to find out who's doing the killings, and at the same time you have Louisa. She is basically forming a lesbian relationship with her cousin. Uh, uh, what's her name? I just said the name. It's Anne Libert's character. So there is a lesbian relationship is similar to the Carmilla story, um, and yeah, that's probably about all I'll say about it. So it's all about, will Dracula and the vampires be vanquished in time, and how is this all going to play out? I think I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. This movie is, while it has good ideas to it, and honestly, that's the thing that really does intrigue me about when I watch Jess Franco movies, especially like a lot of his late, going into his work in the 70s, into the 80s, and things like this. One thing that always kind of, stood out to me is like, you know, Franco does have the idea of how to tell a good story, but oh man, he kind of really did a number on himself, and is like his movies could have been so much better. But the problem is, okay, if you know anything about Jess Franco's movies, or you ever read any kind of biography on him or anything, one thing that Jess Franco was notorious for was he always had all these stories that he wanted to tell, and what he would do is when he would get somebody to offer to pay him to make a movie, say like somebody would come to him and say, I want you to do like a women in prison movie for, and I'll give you $300 or 300 bucks, like $300,000. I'll give you that for the budget and everything. So, Franco was notorious for taking that budget and basically, splitting it. And then he would take part of the budget and he would make the movie that they wanted him to make, that he was hired to make. And then he would take the rest of the budget and go finance a movie that he wanted to make. And, the idea, and that was kind of the thing, he always felt like he was giving his producers and distributors and stuff, he always felt like he was really giving them a great deal because, they gave him this money and he would end up giving them, basically two movies for the price of one. But the problem was that usually, especially like the movies that he wanted to make for himself, and that was the thing with Daughter of Dracula, is this really was like this was a movie that he did for himself. This was a movie he wanted to make. I'm trying to remember. I think it was like Erotic Rites of Frankenstein or something. He was making another movie, and and he was making this pretty much about the same time. And and the downside is, it's just like there's, because he's working so fast, and he's just trying to get it done. There is so much. There is so much like that gets messed up in these films. There are so many like what do you call, like plot holes and gaps in story logic and things like this. And it tends to have, and there is quite a bit of it in this movie as well. Um, I mean, for example, you have the Louisa character, Britt Nichols' character. She's a vampire, and she's seducing Anne LeBare's character, and they're in a room where and obviously about vampires and stuff like that. They can't go out in the daytime. There's plenty of shots of her out in the daytime. Britt Nichols' character, she's out and about in the daytime. When vampires are not supposed to be out. She's they're in a room and there's a big crucifix on the wall in the background, and like that's supposed to be the thing. Vampires are supposed to be repelled by crucifixes, and Britt Nichols' character is very much casting a reflection in a mirror, and that's what I'm saying. Like the point I'm trying to make is that Franco really did not pay too much attention to the details because he was just trying to hurry up and get it over with and get it done and get it made and everything else. And that is a problem with this movie, is that it really is kind of the movie very, very, very much unintentionally funny in a lot of areas, because that's not how it works, man. Come on, it's like, damn, dude. And to be truthfully honest with you, that there are probably going to be people out there who honestly, it's like they're just going to give up on the movie and they're just going to want to see the Britt Nichols and Anne LeBare nudity, which there is a nice amount of that in this movie. But I think I think that's going to end up really being the biggest problem, is just people are going to be underwhelmed by this movie because you see the potential in the storyline and like what could have been a great story and everything else, and but just the fact that like maybe if Franco had not done it this way, maybe if he had maybe if he waited and tried to get to a point where he had a little bit more money to work with, a little bit more time, or he could put more, pay more attention and put a little more effort into his story and everything else, maybe it could have turned out better. But and that's the thing, I mean, like when you watch this movie, it really does kind of feel something of a missed opportunity. It feels like a movie that could have actually really been quite good, and instead you got a movie that is extremely mediocre. A lot of the shots do not even match up. You could tell like there's supposed to be a shot where like Britt Nichols is looking at somebody, and you could tell that they're not even in the same area. They're not even in the same shot or the same frame or anything like that. Um, at the very beginning, you get this establishing shot of a kind of like it's supposed to be the castle of Karlstein, but then you see this in the opening shot of the movie, that's never seen again. And then the castle of Karnstein is a completely different setting, it's a completely different building, different structure, and everything else. And just like I said, there's just so many gaps of logic here and everything else. And like I said, though, I mean, the idea behind the story is not bad, and it could have been a good one. And but like I said, just the fact that Franco just was like so intent on trying to just trying to get two movies made when he barely had enough budget to get one movie made, and just doing this whole thing was just ridiculous. But like I said, I mean, it's like that's and especially later on with a lot of his later films, and then especially when he hooked up with Lena Romay and they started making movies together. I mean, pretty much a lot of it just ended up being, just turned into softcore, or I think even some cases hardcore as well. And but just like I said, it's got some good ideas and everything else, but just the execution is really poor because it was done so shoddy and so haphazardly, and the fact that he was trying to make this and make another movie at the same time and everything else. But I would say, if you're into like, sleazy, sleazy, kind of unintentionally funny vampire movies with a lot of nudity and stuff like that. And there's, oh my God, this movie, like, if you're the kind of person you don't like zoom shots, you are going to hate this movie. There are so many zoom shots, zooming in, zooming back, and everything else. There are so many shots that they zoom into it zooms into the point where everything just blurs and goes out of focus, and everything else. Just like I said, just the execution on this movie was you could tell because they tried to hurry up and get it done. It's really poor, but I think that's about it now. Because really, all I'm doing anymore now, I'm just repeating myself anymore. So I think I'll just go ahead and end it here. But yeah, just like I said, just kind of more for the novelty and just kind of more of a mere curiosity. I would say yeah, go ahead, but just don't expect, just don't expect like even Hammer quality or any of that kind of stuff. It's just not that great of a film. But anyway, but like I said, yeah, if you love you like female nudity and stuff like that, you'll definitely get plenty of it. So there's that. So. But anyway, so that's going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, would you please leave it a like? If you haven't already, could you please go ahead and subscribe to the BodyBags channel? We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I am the Saturday reviewer, and yeah, working with a great bunch of guys, and we got good stuff coming up. We got my theme week coming up, which is healthcare horrors. That movies that take place in, like a healthcare facility, like a doctor's office or a hospital or a sane asylum, something like that. So we got that coming up. Look forward to that. And, more year weeks and theme weeks and everything else. So that's it. So that's it, everybody. Take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you all later. Bye.